I actually just wanted to ask any of you that were willing to hear what actually happened on the ground and how we coordinated, in the words of the ADF aviation controller I spoke to yesterday. He's never seen in his life before that kind of a community response or level of organisation. I was just going to invite some of you to stay after Scott Morrison, if some of you would like to come back and hear a concise, well prepared and with permission from all of the different lead heads, from ground, clean-up, all of that stuff, of what we as a community did, and really change a bit of the story as well of creating more union between us as communities and the agencies, lowering polarisation, because, like for example, my aircrew are fatigued now, we really need the ADF, and it's about creating that unification. So I've got a really clear response prepared for you, and I think it could be an inspirational story for other communities and a warning that they need to start to get themselves ready now in a similar way that we have in how that response has been coordinated, and forge those better bonds between the agencies, drop the us and them stuff, and essentially get ready, because you know what happens when this happens in 5 years' time. There's a couple of you that I know because I've flown you around. If anyone here has been in a local civilian chopper anywhere, it's been with me. I mean, you
yeah, these guys have actually been really good too.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
Yeah, just a question, is Norfolk still coming afterwards? Like, is it better if we just do it now?
This is not my show, this is just people, right? For me, it started going down to the emergency centre that our community set up in Mullen, and hearing a friend whose child was ill, struggling to get a helicopter. The next thing you know, call a friend who's got a helicopter, get the helicopter, and one thing led to another. We then grew from one machine to then Jess and the Rotor Wings crew came in, and then the V2 crew heard about it and raised money and came in, and next thing you know, I'm moving along from a guy who's trying to get one child out of a location because the services aren't prepared, to managing a whole range. That's where I came from. And then I'm representing today, with permission, community leaders that have done the ground clean-up, ground response and ground thing. And the message we really want to pass is we need unification. We need communities to realise that we need to prepare ourselves for this more and more, and we need a lot less resistance between us and the agencies. And I was able to pull together a meeting yesterday that I think is a step of that, and really drop the narrative and the message of the us and them and the polarisation, which is hard considering what we've been through for the last couple of years, you know. So that's really what our community wanted to push towards you guys, is that there's a potential here to prepare for this stuff, because communities are going to need to be ready for this again in 5, 10, 15 years. And yes, there was incredible frustration. Yes, there was incredible anger, and where are they, and why aren't they here, and they're out doing PR, all of that, and you know, all these protests out there, I fully get it. There's a part of me that wants to be out there protesting with them. But then there's another part of me thinking, how long do we go on that story of this much longer, instead of actually working with our agencies and governments in some kind of a way, or them coming into a community level. And unfortunately, for us humans, what better than a disaster in life or death to get us just to sit down and actually, you know, that uniform means nothing when the water's coming up. It's just like, you got arms, you help me. And that's really the message we want to pass, because we want to prepare ourselves more. Some of the other outlying communities were not as prepared as us because of the nature of our community, I think, over there in Mullumbimby. It just, in its culture, it facilitated this. You know what I mean? You get down there and there's live Google Sheets running with data points. There's Starlinks getting dropped into forests with generators with enough fuel to get a message out to say, hey, do you need an evac? And this stuff's happening like this. Now, SES can't do that when the call centre lady in Sydney's going, hang on a minute, slow down, I can't hear, the reception's not great. This is really the message that needs to get out. This stuff is not going to be an isolated event, and it's going to take a lot of banding together. And, you know, the fellow coming in here, Mr. Morrison, you know, is ideally representing, you know, Australia and the unification, and so that's a message from our community groups, and we really appreciate that you heard that.